everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be looking at this album. It is Sound Effects by The Jam. Now this was requested by a couple of people. It was requested by The Jam and Trains Are Life. I could use it on here, so thank you for requesting it. And also Jordan's Music Reviews as well asked me to go over this album. So that's exactly what I'm going to do today. This was the band's 5th studio album, released on the 29th of November in 1980. By this point in time, Paul Weller was looking to expand the band's sound and move away from the very sort of polished, multi-layered, well-produced nature of the last album, Setting Suns. On this release, he took influence from many new post-punk bands, including XTC and Joy Division. But he was also influenced on this by the Beatles as well, because this was at the height of his Beatles obsession, and he also said that Michael Jackson's album Off the Wall played a big part as well in influencing this album. I don't hear too much Michael Jackson on this, to be honest with you, his sort of sound and style. But I'm just going off what Paul Weller said influenced this album. And more generally though, with his songwriting, he was moving away from story or narrative songs, stuff like Mr. Clean and the Eton Rifles, those sort of songs that tell a little bit of a story, and his lyrics were becoming a little bit more abstract and more personal and more emotional as well. Basically, this is often considered the Jam's best album. Certainly Paul Weller thinks so. It is his favourite Jam album, and also it was on Q Magazine's 40 best albums of the 80s. This was at number 15 on that list, and I believe it also featured in Rolling Stone's 500 greatest albums of all time list. So yeah, a very well acclaimed album here. This album was also commercially successful, pretty much as was everything the Jam put out around this time. This reached number 2 in the UK albums charts. Should have really been a number 1, although the Jam they wouldn't get a number 1 album until the album after this, which was the final album, The Gift. So I'm just going to show you the vinyl copy of it here. This is from my Jam vinyl box set, which has all of their albums in it. The cover here is a parody of the BBC sound effects sound covers what they do. It sort of say BBC then that, but I do quite like this cover there. It's really sort of different various images and whatnot, sort of fits the music somewhat. There's a back there, pretty simple, just the song titles and poetry extracts there, and then inside looks like this. We have the lyrics and pictures of them in the studio, which is quite nice there. And then this lovely picture here on the other side, which is really nice. Love that picture a lot. The labels are look like this here. Just got the Jam and sound effects there, same on both sides. So yeah, really nice packaging to this album. It's also worth noting that there is a deluxe CD version of this album on the market. I haven't got a copy of it though, but I think it's really good because you get lots of demos and that, there's Jam versions of I think they do a couple of Beatles covers Rain, and Anya Bird Can Sing, and a couple of Kinks ones as well. So yeah, it is quite interesting to hear Paul Weller sort of paying tribute to some of his musical heroes. So now I'm going to go over each of the album's songs. I will score each track out of 10, and then those scores will be used to give us a overall percentage mark for the album. So we open up with the song Pretty Green, which I'm giving a 9 out of 10 to. This is a great opening song. Starts off, we've got this really pounding bass line, but it's very simple. It is literally just the one note, but it's so effective, really holds the song together. The drumming as well, Rick Butler's drumming, is a little bit more interesting than most of the Jam stuff before. It's a little, it's a little bit more rhythmic, and that I quite like it a lot on this song. And yeah, it's a brilliant track. Great key change in the middle where the song just really takes off. It's just fantastic. And yeah, this was considered for first single for the album. I believe the record company wanted this to be the first single. However, Paul Weller wanted it to be the song Start, and he won out at the end of the day. But personally, I couldn't quite see this song Pretty Green getting to number 1 Start did. I think it it probably would have been a hit single, but maybe not another surefire number 1 for the band. But it is still a fantastic song though, and a great way to kick off the album. Second track in is called Monday, which I really love as well. This is a little bit slow, a little bit softer by the Jam standards, and it is just a really nice song. Great lyrics, great like piano playing like as well. Like, I'm not sure who like does like the keyboard work like on like this album. I'm not too sure myself. But it really adds like a really nice texture to the song, and like very much something that what was missing from like some of like the Jam's material before this album. And like again, like Rick Butler's drumming is like also quite interesting with this song, like a little bit more like rhythmic, a little bit more complex than like some of like the Jam's previous stuff. So yeah, like once again, I love the song Monday. And then the next song is called But I'm Different Now, which I love. This is a brilliant track, a 10 out of 10 for me. And it just packs so much into like less than 2 minutes. I think this like it is about 1 minute 53 seconds. But it just goes through so many different like little stages. We've got that killer opening guitar riff, but really just pulls you into the song. It's great. And then like the middle bit like sort of changes like with a more sort of like Latin rhythm, and that's just really interesting, really unique song that works so brilliantly. Like it has to be a 10 out of 10 for But I'm Different Now. Now the next song is probably what I would say is like my least favourite track on the album. It's a song called Set the House Ablaze, but I'm still giving this like a 7 out of 10, which is by no means like a bad score. Like that's still like, it's still like a really good song this. I just feel like it is like a little bit weaker lyrically, but the band still put in like a fantastic performance, great energy on this song, and like I quite like the wee like whistling hook, like the something goes something like that. But anyway, yeah, like it really like that's like the hook to like the song, like for me, like anyway. It just kind of goes on like a little bit too long for me personally, but like I still quite like the song though. Like it's by no means like a weak track, but just personally my least favourite on the album. We get the lead single from the album, a song called Start, which I'm giving a 10 out of 10 to. Now, despite this song stealing the bass line from the Beatles' Taxman, this is still fantastic though. Again, I love the lyrics, a little bit more like unlinear, just sort of like about like sort of like communicating and that like with someone. Like they work like quite well, I think, and like also horns as well. Like there's a bit of brass towards the end of the song. I believe like the first time brass featured on like a Jam song will become very important for like the band's next album. And yeah, a brilliant track, the lead single, their second number one, like out of like 4 number ones like what they had, a brilliant track, Start. And our closing side one, we have probably the most popular track from the album, like as to be said, that's Entertainment, which I'm also giving a 10 out of 10 to. A truly wonderful song, lot more sort of folky, more like acoustic, again like a different sound, a different style for the band, which I really like how like they all like pushing themselves like on this album. And like the lyrics, I think, are like standout like thing off this song. They paint like a very accurate and very vivid picture like what Britain was like during like the late 70s, like early 80s, and like this could well be Paul Weller's best set of lyrics, placed at 306 on like Rolling Stone's 500 best songs list. And yeah, like this is like despite like Paul Weller saying that like he wrote this like song like in 10 minutes like while like he was like drunk. So yeah, just a fantastic song, really great. And yeah, like another thing to note about this song is like it wasn't actually released like as a single in like the UK like at the time. Like it was like an import single which reached number 21, becoming like the biggest selling imported single to like Britain like of all time. So yeah, fantastic song, that's Entertainment. The second side of the album opens up with a track called Dreamtime, which I'm giving a 8 out of 10 to. Now, another great song here. Starts off, we've got like these backwards guitars, sort of like sets like the track up like in some ways. It is like a good song. Like at the end of the day, like the verses are like a little bit average, but like I do quite like the chorus. So like I think it has like some good lyrics. Again, like a lot of energy, a lot of like a great band performance on this track. And like I think like the ending is like maybe like a tad repetitive, they're just sort of like repeating like the same line. But like by no means is this a bad song. Like certainly like on like lesser albums, this song could well be like a standout track. But like unfortunately like on here for me like it isn't among my favourite tracks. The another great song follows it, Man in the Corner Shop, which I'm giving a 9 out of 10 to. This has a really great catchy riff like at the start, although like it is like a little bit slow, a little bit softer for the Jam though, which I do quite like. And like great lyrics for this one, sort of dealing with like jealousy between like different people and that of like different classes, and that like it starts with like a customer off like the shop who's like jealous of like the shop owner, and then like the second verse it's like the shop owner is like envious of like the factory owner, and that so kind of like it like goes on like that, and then like towards the end like I think like Weller says like, and like God created all men equal in like slightly like sarcastic tone, just sort of saying well like at like the end of the day like he didn't really though, but like that's like the way it goes sort of thing. Yeah, a brilliant track and really fantastic song. Now track 9 on the album is called Music for the Last Couple, which I love. This is an instrumental song technically, although like there are like a little bit of like vocals in it though, so it's like technically not like an instrumental, but it is mostly just music, and it is a fantastic song. This is like the only track like ever like co-written by like the whole band, and like it is a really and like it's like a really interesting like instrumental track, quite like experimental, but it has some really catchy, really fun like musical passages in this one. And like yeah, like a lot of people, well like, some people say that this is like the Jam's worst song, but no way for me. Like I like really love it, and like yeah, like Addy wrote like maybe like a little bit more like lyrics to this one. This could have easily been like a 10 out of 10, but like unfortunately like, I can't really give like an instrumental song like full marks, but this is still brilliant though. Music for the Last Couple. Now the penultimate song is called Boy About Town, which again I love. A really fine little track, kind of like returns to sort of like Paul Weller sort of like mod anthem type song, stuff like in the crowd, sort of like celebrating like the mod cult and that, and like yeah, like it really works. Like brass like in this one is like great. Yeah, just a brilliant track. Like I can't really give it like anything less than a 10. Now the final track on the album is called Scrape Away, which I'm giving a 9 out of 10 to. Now I must say that I never really used to care for this song, like when like I first heard like the album, like I kind of thought, nah, like it's not really like my thing this. But it has grown on me a lot. Really interesting structure with this one, and like it may be like you could maybe say that it lacks like a melody per se. Definitely on this one like Weller was being influenced by like the new bands of like the day, such as like Joy Division, and that really sort of like strange structure of this song, but it really works. Bruce Foxton contributes a fantastic bass line, again really holds that the song together, keeps it firmly like plodding along really well. Lyrics on this one though are like getting like a little bit more like political, but certainly like it's not like stuff like Trans Global Express where it's almost like unlistenable, whereas this is like still like a great song though, and like yeah, like it is fantastic though. Scrape Away would be a 9 out of 10 for me. Just really interesting song, just really experimental, and like yeah, like very different for the Jam. Overall, this album scores 91%, which is a brilliant score, almost perfect album this. I think this is just really strong. I think it is particularly like inspired like in terms of like songwriting, well as lyrics really come into like their own like on this album. And like also like the sound as well. This is probably like the least dated off like the Jam's album. Like it still sounds like a contemporary record. It is really great. And yeah, this could maybe like take like the prize as like being like my favourite Jam album. Like I've done like my Paul Weller like ranking like video. Like I think that like it was Almost Constant like came out like at like number 1, which I would probably like still stand by. But this isn't very far behind. This is still brilliant. And like yeah, it's just a fantastic album. So many great songs. I mean, Pretty Green Monday, But I'm Different Now, Start That's Entertainment, Man in the Corner Shop, and Boy About Town probably being like my standout tracks. But it is just a fantastically consistent, fantastically strong album. Which if like you haven't heard it, definitely do go and check this out. Like I'm sure if I'm sure that if like you are like into like the Jam sort of like singles like around this time, you'll love this album. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this review. If like you have like any like requests for future ones, please do leave them down below, and I will see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.